On the 33rd day of the Omer, we have this bizarre holiday that it's hard to talk about it because its roots in history are very, very foggy. It's called Lag BaOmer. Lag is 33 in Hebrew. And this is it's almost like the Jewish Halloween. It's like a celebration of these dead rabbis and the fires up on Mount Meron and all this kind of stuff. The roots of it, are that according to kind of Jewish myth, fable, rabbinic fable, on 24,000 disciples, students of Rabbi Akiva, died in a very short time period of a plague, and the plague stopped on this day. Okay? Rabbi Akiva is considered the founder of rabbinic Judaism. Okay? He is maybe the greatest figure in rabbinic Judaism, and we learn about him in school, and he's amazing. This story that 24,000, he had a lot of disciples, that 24,000 died almost instantly or within the period of a week or two in a plague is kind of iffy. And what was happening at the time was what's called the Bar Kokhba revolt. This is really important if you want to understand Israel and the Jewish people. Okay? Most Christians know about the first Jewish revolt, which happened in the years 68, 69, and 70, okay, just after the time of Yeshua, and resulted in the destruction of the temple and the destruction of Jerusalem, right? Everybody knows about that. And it's a very important event in history, one which Yeshua prophesied. And one which, by the way, because of Yeshua's prophecy, what did Yeshua say to his disciples? When you see these things happening, don't fight. Okay, it's a losing cause, flee. And that's what the Messianic Jews did, who were a significant part of the population here in Jerusalem. Okay, and then 63 years later, in 133, began the second Jewish revolt against Rome, which was led by a strong military figure named Shimon Bar Kokhba. Okay? This was the time of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva ordained and announced and declared that this general is the Messiah. He's the deliverer. He is going to deliver our people from Roman rule. Follow him to the end. This is the founder of Rabbinic Judaism. The historians, and it's hard because there's not a lot of really good sources. The Talmud is all these fables that are mixed up. It's hard to kind of establish a timeline. But people who studied it and looked at it in archaeology and other things say that in this second rebellion, probably something like 600,000 to 800,000 Jewish men were slaughtered by the Romans. It was a bloodbath. It was a disaster. Okay? By the way, it's from this time that suddenly in Judaism, they start to talk about reckoning Jewishness through the mother. Have you ever wondered about that? Where does it, Judaism from the mother? Is anyone reading the Bible? Is that what the Bible says? The son of 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 the son of, every genealogy is tracing the patriarchal lineage, right? The story of Ruth that we're going to read in Shavuot in a few weeks. She is a Moabitess. She marries into the family, Boaz, and she becomes the great-grandmother of David and then ultimately of the Messiah, okay? But the genealogies trace the men. The Jewishness was from the man. When did it start to become Jewishness from the woman? And this is something Jewish rabbis will never tell you because they don't want to talk about it, because the whole thing is such a shameful embarrassment that the founder of Rabbinic Judaism crowned a false Messiah and led the Jewish people into a total slaughter and disaster that resulted in the majority of Jewish men in this land being wiped out. And as in most wars, there's a lot of rape. The women and children were spared and were taken as servants, slaves, etc., etc., etc. Now, do you know why you count the Jewishness through the mother? You understand? If they'd continued reckoning Jewishness through the man, it would have meant the end of the Jewish people. There weren't enough Jewish men. All the fathers were gone. And when in situations of rape, and forgive me for talking like this, you don't know you very well may not know who the father is, but you know who the mother is. And suddenly, and even at Hebrew University, they don't like to talk about this. Suddenly, from that time, Judaism starts talking about Jewishness through the mother. That's how tragic this whole time was. That's why Lag BaOmer is this bizarre combination of tragedy and false messiah and worshiping the dead. And Orthodox Jews, for them, this period of counting of the Omer, which is supposed to be a time of harvest and joy, is actually a time of mourning. And they don't even really know. The whole thing is so mixed up. So that Orthodox Jews will not, from the end of Passover until the 33rd day of the Omer, don't marry, don't shave their beards, blah, 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 blah. It's a time of mourning. Because of Rabbi Akiva's 24,000 disciples who died in a plague. This period represents also the tension in our people and in our politics and in our leadership between the modern day restoration Zionist spirit and the spirit of rabbinic Judaism, okay, which has kept our people Jewish, but has also led to total disaster. By the way, if you study the history of the Holocaust, why 6 million Jews were sitting there like sitting ducks, waiting to go and to be sent to the gas chambers, even though Hitler had been in power and talking about it for 10 years, it's because of the rabbis. They did not. They told the people, no, we don't want to make the same mistake again. Stay, don't fight, don't leave, don't follow the Zionists. They're secular people who don't believe in God, etc., etc. The ones who followed the Zionists came here and established the state and are alive and are saying never again. So again, it's just a time that I'm sharing this with you also for its good material also in sharing the gospel with Orthodox Jews. Because you want to say Orthodox Jews, you're following the same rabbinic authority that 2,000 years ago and 80 years ago didn't understand. If they're hearing from God, they would know. Bar Kokhba is not the Messiah. By the way, also in the Second Jewish Revolt, the Messianic Jews did not participate. It's one of the reasons they hate us until this day. They view us as traitors because in both revolts, we said no, because we knew it wasn't the time.